I guess just intro it like you know.
I think we just say it and it'd be like, we recorded this other episode, but then this came out, so this is first, and
Yeah.
then there's gonna be a slight cut, and then it's gonna sound like a new episode, but it's the same episode.
That's right, folks. As Devin just said, it's going to be the same episode. Welcome back to the Sonic Movie Show from the future. You're about to see the future before the past. Yeah, so after recording the episode you guys are about to watch, we got dropped a bunch of, well, not a bunch, a significant Sonic news, Sonic Movie 3 news piece there. Devin, why don't you tell us all about it?
Yeah, so originally I think the first thing that dropped was, at least from what you sent me, 'cause I think you sent me a text about it.
It was like 10
Uh,
minutes after the tweet happened.
yeah, it was a tweet from the official Sonic movie of what at first I guess the big thing was that Jim Carrey's coming back. That's kind of what the people were immediately being like, Jim Carrey's back, Robotnik's back. But then really the actual announcement also was showing kind of like the logo of this movie, which is obviously an homage to Sonic Adventure 2. With the kind of blue frills on the top and then the black and red on the bottom.
And it was like a
And
3D
obviously,
motion thing.
yeah. But then in the thing you hear, Jim Carrey going or whatever. And if you listen closely, also you can hear a guitar riff that sounds a lot like Live and Learn.
That's right.
So maybe
My
Crush 40s in this one.
My hope, well, okay, just we got to remember Emerald Hill was in the Sonic Movie 2 logo,
It's true.
reveal. So like I hope they learn their lesson. I've already seen memes of like when Sonic and Shadow do their final battle and then they need to be friends and defeat Robotnik. The disappointment of hearing I Need a Hero play instead of Live and Learn.
I,
Well,
if I Need a Hero plays, that'd actually be funny as fuck, though.
it would be
Just 'cause
funny, but extremely disappointing. I mean,
yeah, I think
there
I
already
think
was a movie that
definitely-
played I Need a Hero. It was the greatest movie of all time. It was Shrek 2. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's it.
I watched that over Christmas break, like
Really?
both first and second Shrek movies, and yep, they still freaking hold, dude. Uh, as I was saying, yeah, I agree with you. Like the music, I think the first movie was like, okay, this was a surprise A tier video game movie. Then we're like, okay, Sonic Movie 2, pretty good. S
I think
tier.
also Sonic Movie 2, like, on their end, a safe sequel. In the sense of, like,
Yes.
all right, let's not push it. Like, we clearly got something here. Let's not MCU, phase 4 ourselves out the water. Let's play it safe here. But
But I think the expectations are changing now. Where yeah, they should add more the music from the games in there. It doesn't have to be straight from the games. It could be like an orchestral version that's
Yeah.
changed slightly. Like you have like the little
like
riff
a medley,
moments,
where you have a little
yeah,
bit in there
right.
with whoever's actually doing the movie's score.
I think like I want to say it was Into the Spider-Verse or one of the Spider-Man movies did that, where it had like the cartoon, like, like dun-dun-dun, like it'll be like that. It does you hear the notes, you recognize what it is, but it doesn't have to be the full song. They can do that with this, and that's what I'm hoping for sure. That's definitely one of those things that, like, at this point, I get why you played it safe the first two times, but hey, people are gonna show up for this film now. Like you can play around with it more. And with this other news that came out very shortly after Jim Carrey being announced, there's a whole new list of cast members, including a lot of the original folks from the first two movies. At first, when they announced all these people, I'm like, uh-oh, are they like just doing what I've seen a lot of like these kind of family-friendly, like early 2000s movies did this a lot, where like, we want to continue this franchise, but like a lot of the other actors don't want to be in it again. So like, we have new character Transformers, great example. Like that, all the human characters I think switched after
They've
a
been
couple
all
movies.
swapped. I think twice.
Yeah, so that's what I was afraid of when I first saw the announcement. All these actors are in it, but then they announced that James Marsden's in it. All our favorite folks are in it. Like they didn't change that. Ben Schwartz still obviously Sonic, Idris Elba. Colleen O'Shaughnessy is still Tails. Uh, yeah, Tom Butler's in it, so the commander's going to be in again.
That's who that is.
Tika Sumpter's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all the original people from our small town of Green Hills is in it. To what capacity? I don't know.
I'm hoping less,
people already.
but
we'll see. I mean, I'll take more James because he's our boy.
He's the exception.
Let
me put it this way. He's the only one of the human characters in these movies that I actually would want to be in the games as a human character at some, you know what I mean? He's the only one where I'd be like, you're in my Sonic lore now. I will take you.
Yeah. Here's the full cast announcements. I'll read off what like the new additions are and then also confirming the returning members. So this is the new additions. Christine Ritter, Elia Brown. Probably mispronouncing that. Apologies. Yeah, I think that might be it. James Wolk, Sophia Pernas, Cristo Fernandez, and Jorma Tacone. And a lot of these folks, I know you said Kristen Ritter's in, and I can confirm that. And Jessica Jones was the Marvel show in 2019.
That's all I know.
She's been in some episodes of The Simpsons and whatnot in the last couple years, in a couple other small TV shows. Same with there's been a lot. Actually, a lot of these people are voice actors. I know James Wolk was in the Harley Quinn show as Superman and Clark Kent. So I'll be fun. But yeah, some of them were on HBO shows like Watchmen, Quantum Leap. I'm just listing off a couple things that they're all in. Ted Lasso.
Never saw that.
Is in Ted Lasso, but I know that's well received. Also in Spider-Man No Way Home is the bartender. But yes, a lot of them aren't like big heavy name actors for the most part, but they're all like have voice acting experience. So to me, and a lot of people are also suggesting this, is that these might be our other Sonic friend characters, voice actors.
We'll see.
A Amy, perhaps. I know one of them retweeted the video and then did like a black and blue back and forth.
That's
and then
a
did
Sega
pink
guy.
heart.
Sega producer did that.
Okay, so maybe Amy's in it. Perhaps I could see them being in it and then holding their cards close because people are going to be hyped for Shadow. So like that's not a spoiler. People are, you know what I mean? And I hope they don't show a trailer with all the characters.
I love surprises.
Our show has multiple times said that we hate when trailers basically show all three acts of the film. Even Fast X, when we watched that trailer reveal, I feel like we got pretty close to how it kind of fell in. I mean, I know some of the set pieces were maybe out of order, but like we got like, okay, this guy's gonna show up, he does this thing.
Yeah, Sonic Movie 2 is like that.
Yeah, so I hope they don't. I know when we eventually do our trailer reaction video or stream or episode, whatever it is, that like we're not be like, yep, okay, that's clearly the final set piece. Granted, it was obviously a lot more when you go see the movie, but it was that was one disappointing thing I had with the Sonic movie too, is I feel like I already knew what was happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of where they're going. Because we're like, oh, maybe they're just showing, the different locations in the world they're going, and then it wound up only being just Siberia or whatever, where we thought we're like, okay, we hope it's more than just that, or else that's kind of lame that they showed that.
Yep.
So that's my thing is like, it's fine to announce all these people and get people hyped and like be like, oh, what could they be? And it probably is the characters, but like, don't show them in the trailer, please. Please don't show them in the trailer.
Yeah.
Maybe show Amy. Okay, that's fine. But like, I don't want to see, because when Rouge the Bat comes on that screen, boy, you better believe I'll be gasping for air. Okay, so let that be a surprise.
All right.
Okay?
Here's my thing though. I guarantee all but one of these people is human characters. They can't just not introduce new human elements too. They have whatever the place that Shadow is contained in has to have human people. I think here's the thing. I know you want Rouge. right? We want
I
Rouge.
mean, come on now.
I think it'd be unlikely that Rouge is introduced in this movie, but not Amy. And I know, like, right off the bat, people are like, oh, Kristen Ritter would be, a good Rouge. I think she'll be Amy. That's my legit thought, is she will be Amy. I think that the way they've taken that character in, like, Sonic Boom and the Sonic Prime show, they've taken her less to be a girly girl, and I think Kristen Ritter can do an Amy voice, I imagine, pretty well. Obvious casting here, Alia Brown is going to be Maria Robotnik, and she's going to get blasted in the face with a gun. And everyone in the audience will clap because they all know, like, yeah, Shadow's origin, let's go. And this child won't have any idea why people are happy to see her die. But, that's going to be that. For everyone else, I have no idea. I think, just once again, the long plan, if they want to make more and more of these movies, and Paramount and Sega do, just off of money reasons alone, let alone creative endeavors, they don't want to blow their load and have a bunch of Sonic's friends be introduced at one time. I think you do dole them out, but there's diminishing returns. After Shadow, assuming Amy is also in this movie, okay, Rouge, sure.
I mean, everyone wants a Rouge standalone film, like
sure they do, but like they don't want.
You have to hit.
They do
you
at some
show
point.
Her, you know what I mean?
They do at some point want to introduce a bunch at once. I don't think this film is the one, but if they don't want to dole them out slowly forever, but they also don't want to like shotgun them all out at once right now.
But I feel like this is being advertised as Sonic Adventure 2, the movie, though. Like, even the logo and stuff makes me think that they were gonna...
Okay, so then that's just Amy and Rouge being added in and no one else. You know?
But I think Big the Cat and shit is going to be in it, though. Big the Cat is going to be in it. Everyone, like... I'm not saying it's just a Sonic Adventure 2. I think it's just both games. Here's how I will say is that you're saying you don't want to blow the load. But here's the thing. This movie could bomb. And I think they've been kind of playing this as like, if it does well again, we'll make another sequel. I don't think they've, had the big like, okay, if this, I don't think they're writing a script with that in mind, being like, okay, if this does well, we'll do this. I think maybe the first movie they did was more of like a, haha, if this movie does well, let's be real. Yeah, of course we'll get Tails. Like, that's why they threw him at the end, you know what I mean? But for me, at this point, like, yeah, you brought in Shadow, which is probably the biggest heavy hitter of the Sonic and Friends cast. And I know I'm memeing with Rouge the Bat and stuff, but like
you're not memeing.
They're not. They're like. I
gotta say, they're not
as like.
You.
They're not as heavy hitters, right? Of like as Shadow. Like I feel like if you even.
I think this is the last. We know it's not going to bomb because of the hype in Shadow. I think after this movie is where like, okay, let's really make sure we know what we're doing. I think you're right, but I don't think
I'm just saying I don't know if there really is if there's a pro or rather a benefit or non-benefit of showing the rest of these characters or not. Like, yeah, you could just show Shadow and just be Shadow focused the entire movie and then hints at these new characters. It's like, I don't know if that's really moving the needle for the average. I don't know. It's hard to tell because, like, how many people who saw Sonic Movie 2, like, knew who the fuck Shadow even was anyways? You know what I mean? Unless you're really into the games. Because people have been like, okay, there's another evil hedgehog. Is this Venom equivalent? Like,
the best, like, the best thing that those people, the best thing that Paramount and Sega have to look, and I'm sure they've already know whether or not this worked out, for those people that you're describing that don't know Shadow, that, their parents that took their kids, they get a, who's the purple guy at the end of Avengers style Google searches? Who's at the end of Sonic 3 or Sonic 2? Oh, Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh, okay, cool, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's the best for those, fair. But I still think beyond Shadow, there isn't even nearly as big of a drop. I know Sonic fans, it might be like, oh, it's Blaze the Cat, it's Silver the Hedgehog, it's comic book characters.
See, that's the only character I feel like they could pull, but like in a cult way, where like they show all the friends but Silver in this movie, and at the end of this movie, this time it's Silver's coming.
Oh, hey, I would pop for that. Metal Sonic 2, don't forget, we skipped Metal Sonic in terms of like, we went...
I could see Metal Sonic being in this low-key.
Maybe he is.
Maybe the main villain.
That.
Maybe I think maybe Shadow, becomes is supposed to be an ally with Robotnik, and then he turns, and then Jim Carrey does a fine, I'll do it myself,
and makes Metal Sonic.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Metal Sonic, yeah, is a.
You don't need a voice act for
we'll
Metal Sonic
that.
either. You know what I mean? He's just Terminator.
Yeah.
Yo, get Arnold Schwarzenegger though to be Metal Sonic and just do Terminator lines. That'd be awesome.
We talked about. I don't know if it's in the episode that is about to follow this segment here or not. Somewhere we talked about Hayden Christensen potentially being Shadow. I think that was not this episode. I think it was a previous episode.
Couple episodes. Yeah.
And but what if it is Timothy Chalamet, like we had been saying, but like the Idris Elba impact made the Knuckles thing hype because like it's stupid awesome. Of course that's perfect casting. Hayden Christensen is on a similar level for Shadow there, right? Like getting the Terminator for Metal Sonic would be funny. If he just does sounds, I don't want him speaking because then that'd be like, all right. But like,
Sonic, you need to get to the chopper.
You mentioned Big the Cat. Big the Cat, I don't want to be just anyone. I want it to be like Jason Momoa or like someone like that or like Samoa Joe that can do big guy dumb voice, pretty well. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, I guess to be fair, since they haven't announced, they just announced these other people. Could any of these people actually be Shadow? Could James Wolke as Superman in the Harley Quinn series? I could maybe see him doing a voice that could just be Shadow.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I thought to be fair, like I feel like they would have announced who Shadow was in this.
But that's the thing too. I think just like Knuckles getting his big announcement separately, I don't think it's like, oh yeah, and one of the people we already said is Shadow. I think it is a special announcement.
I mean, the Super Bowl's next week, dude. Like I could see them dropping a Super Bowl trailer.
I don't know. You're right. Whatever. Yeah, the movie's this year. That's a big commercial spot. But they have a Knuckles show at some point.
I'm like just surprised. So hey, who knows? After this episode goes up, there might be another thing next Friday. But I know some of the Super Bowl trailers have dropped early already. Like I know, I think Paramount actually. That's where we saw the Knuckles. He has a one line in that.
And I could have sworn that was footage taken from Sonic 2 when it was just stills and I didn't actually watch it at that point. I'm like, he's standing in such a way that I swear, because I've watched Sonic movie 2-3 times. I'm just pretty sure that's in the coffee shop and but it was probably just expensively bespoke animation because it's a Super Bowl ad.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Master Chief is in the background. You know what I mean? And because that would be expensive to render, and they would rather have a football player and an aging Star Trek guy, speak for the most part. That's the big Sonic Movie 3 news. If in the off chance in the next 24 hours there's more news, then you will probably see us again. Maybe we'll be before this segment. How funny would that be? I doubt it though.
Just keep going backwards.
Because I'm editing and posting this episode tomorrow. So yes. Well, Devin, thank you for joining me in this time machine. Now it's back to us in the past.
Time Cop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sonic Movie Show. My name is Ethan, and with me here to not look up Sonic shadow porn, like this title kind of says, is Devin.
The brightest flame casts the darkest shadow.
Wow. That is what a 14-year-old kid in 2005 wrote on their Tumblr.
Is it?
Don't tell me it's from a video game.
It's not from a video game, but it's from an acclaimed author.
Oh. It's kind of close to the first thing I said.
Perhaps an author you respect.
Martin?
Yeah.
Really?
According to this.
I mean,
it's tagged. It's tagged as flames, deep thought, and brightness.
Okay, within the context of Shadow the Hedgehog, it is definitely that Tumblr thing I said. But I guess, yeah, if it's within one of his books, You know, he wrote more than just a Song of Ice and Fire or whatever the whole Game of Thrones
Yeah,
thing is called.
he also wrote The Brightest Flame Cast the Darkest Shadow.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's why From Software actually wrote the story for Elden Ring, and he just wrote the lore. You know?
He wrote that on the whiteboard. He's like, "This is like
our
we're
relationship's
good.
changing
George,
now." Yeah.
George, it's good, dude.
We all know how to speak English now, just because we needed to tell you, not kindly no. No, he's a great author. Anyway, we're talking about Sonic X Shadow Generations. I mentioned the porn thing because that you type into character's name with an X, and I guess that's a Rule 34 type thing. So, you know, we talk about Sonic Team and Sega knowing Sonic, knowing their fans. Let's say they did the whole Sonic Forces, and, you know, you make your own little furry fuck and all that jazz. Like, they couldn't have not known. I mean, they know about Sonic, and I'm sure they know about Pregnant Sonic and all those memes. You know,
I think it's one of those things where, like, once they get the SEO, they don't have to worry about that. Because I saw a tweet being like about the Sonic, you know, X Shadow and how like it might pull up stuff. And one person's like, I just typed it in on Google Images and it's all just images from the game. So like,
also like, you know,
it's a fun joke, but like I think it's fine. You know,
they also
like,
can't let like fans claim very basic concepts of as their own, you know, perverted stuff. You know what I mean? Sonic Cross Shadow is something they would use at some point.
It also says Generations, to be fair, as well.
Sure.
So it's like, you know.
Anyway,
and it doesn't X also mean like?
It means cross. It's a crossover.
It means cross, or even like versus. I know.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
like
sure there's a Godzilla movie too. Was Godzilla
Japanese.
X Mechagodzilla or something like that? So.
Yeah, if Batman v Superman was a Japanese-made film, it'd be called Batman X Superman. But here's the thing. I'm pretty sure you don't actually verbalize the X. I know there's an animated manga called Hunter x Hunter, and it's actually written out Hunter x Hunter. I'm pretty sure we would technically call this Sonic Shadow Generations. Or not. Until we see a Sega representative say this in something, you know what I mean? Then it is, you know, but yeah, anyway. Sonic X Shadow Generations was announced officially at the Sony State of Play that was on January 31st as the
State of the Union.
As the day of this
Biden.
Yeah.
Biden announced it.
Here's the thing. Their name is PlayStation, so State of Play is like an inverse on those words.
That's all I think of. Once I see State of anything, I'm like, State of the Union.
Sure. And hey, I watched it. You watched my stream. I streamed it or whatever. And like, you know, they had a guy out who's in charge of all of Sony's first party stuff kind of address us. You know, it was kind of close to a thing. I do want to point something out just about logos. So I do really like this Sonic Shadow Generations logo. I pulled up a full screen thing, Devin. You can find it somewhere pretty easily.
Yeah, I got
a very high resolution version. This is actually zoomed out for folks at home. What I have, I really like this logo a lot. I like the broad, you know, colors of it all. One little nitpick I have, the G in Generations. So there's this like gray stroke around everything, and it ends in such a way where there's this weird little tiny like half circle black thing in the middle. They should have just filled that in completely with gray. Just fill it in with gray. No one would notice. I understand, you know, the stroke ends there.
Oh, now it's going to bother me. Why'd you point that out?
Yeah,
God damn it.
Yeah. It's like when iOS 7 first came out on iPhones back in like 2013, I had the beta on it on my iPhone 5, and I realized that the main screen, or maybe it was the drop-down screen, was like 7 pixels to the left. And I ruined that for a lot of the kids in college that also got in the beta because it looks so cool. And I'm like, this is off center, and you know. But yeah, so that's my only thing. No, I like the logo. I like that the O in Shadow is from the Shadow the Hedgehog box art. That is kind of his logo that was only used like once for that game.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool to, I guess. I mean it's definitely it's I think if you brought this back like 10 years prior, it would have been like, that's cheesy as fuck, because it's definitely so like late 90s, early 2000s tribal tattoo is what I look at it as. That
Yeah.
looks like every dude from the 2000s who got a tribal tattoo on their right shoulder or whatever. It would look something like that. Or
Yeah.
what's that one? What's his name? One boxer there who has the tribal tattoo on the side of his face.
Oh,
Why am I blanking on his freaking name? He's like, I'm so bad
I've
with
seen
names on
him.
the
I don't
show.
know what his name is, but I know who you're talking.
You know
about.
who we're talking about.
You know, if you don't,
He
search
has that.
boxer tattoo, and maybe you'll find it.
Yeah, what the fuck is his? Every time, I swear to God, when we do a show and we have to list an actor's name or a famous person's name that isn't Joe Biden or something like that, I just don't like. I just blank. It's remarkable. I'm glad I know Shadow though.
Well, we
That'd
do it
been
all the time.
embarrassing
We've
if I'm
done
like,
it
who's
about
this
like Hugh
Shadow guy?
Jackman and other celebrities' names all the time. Yeah, no. So Sonic Shadow Generations was a new game that was announced at the Sony State of Play.
Mike
on
Tyson.
January 31st.
Holy fuck.
Oh, I was thinking about someone else different then. Yes, I knew who Mike Tyson.
Mike
was.
Tyson. He should get the Shadow the Hedgehog.
I was picturing a white guy that has a tattoo on his head. But then yes, everyone should know Mike
Tom
Tyson.
McDonald, the rapper.
Again, I don't know the white guy's name. I just know that he exists, and he has a thing. Also, hey, if I want to nitpick this logo a little bit more, granted, the font usage for the word Generations is very similar to the Sonic title font. It's not the same thing, but look at the A in Generations and look at the A in Shadow, and that peak, the little cutout in the A on Generations, is way too high. It goes up too high, and the Shadows is nice and low, and it feels like it's like equidistant from the top and the sides.
We're just destroying this logo right now.
This is a stupid hobby I have where I like to critique logos and really praise the ones that I like. And I really like Sonic's logos in all of his games because I like Sonic the Hedgehog.
And guess what? Sonic's colors there copied Capcom.
True. True. Yes. I mean, maybe not intentionally, but yeah, now I see it. That is straight up
and
Capcom.
it's Capcom, the makers of the most popular series ever, Dino Crisis. Come on.
Yeah,
They knew what they were doing.
Oh my god. The Crisis and Dino Crisis? Crisis City, Sonic 06. Man, Sega
I've been
just
saying
keeps
it. Dino Crisis is the most influential
Which came
franchise of all
first,
time, but people don't
Capcom
know
or
about it.
Sega, just in general? Because here's the thing, Devin.
Doesn't matter, 'cause
here's
Dino-
the thing. Just in terms of their company's existence, their names in both of these companies are like portmanteaus. They're a combination of two. I think that's what portmanteau is. Combination of two things. Sega means service games, right? Because they make coin-op, machines. Capcom, capsule company, for those little gachapon thingies. I think
And that's where
probably what they did
Pokemon
first.
comes from.
Pokemon
because they're
comes
like,
from
wow.
the Japanese boy urge to have bugs rip each other to bits.
But put them in a capsule.
Right. But Pokemon is Pocket Monsters. So it's more like you put that in your
And guess
pocket.
who else made a monster thing? Capcom, Monster Hunter.
Right.
So
right.
it all stems back.
And, which came first? Monster Hunter's idea of dinosaurs in general being monsters, or the giant 9/11 water snake thing at the end of Sonic Adventure. I think actually it's Sonic Adventure because Monster Hunter was a late PS2 game. So, hey, Sonic
9/11
steals their color scheme for their and Capcom gets to steal the idea of dinosaurs.
That's true.
Yeah, Sonic Shadow Generations State of Play, January 31st. I need to get this train of thought done and said. This game leaked earlier, and the domain sonicxshadowgenerations.com existed. It was masked in a certain way that I think Sonic Superstars' website was. That's how that game got kind of leaked early. People kind of knew something was up. Also, the day that the State of Play was announced, also, that's Sony, that's PlayStation. Unrelated to Steam, but still, if Sonic Generations was being shown, that Sega made this decision. On Steam, that same day, a Sonic franchise sale popped up. Every game in the Sonic franchise is on sale except Sonic Generations. Presumably because they plan on delisting that game and replacing it with this, or maybe honestly, looking at it the way it is now, I see it mainly as probably just DLC instead, because like we'll talk
A
about it.
maybe $10 DLC,
Maybe probably more because they're gonna. They know that they could
60,
sell it for $30. I think they could
$60.
easily sell the Shadow stuff for
Dude,
$30.
they should be bold. Sell it for 100.
That would be very bold, and they would make a profit on that. I guarantee.
You think they would make a profit if they sold it for $100?
I think they would make a profit on Steam
But
specifically.
but label it as a DLC still. Like
Yeah,
like you have
$100
to go on the
DLC.
Steam page.
Yeah.
It says the DLC section, $100 for the.
On this very podcast, dozens of episodes ago, we reviewed the the movie adaptation of the video game series DOA, Dead or Alive. I recently picked up one of the 3 versions of Dead or Alive 5 on PlayStation 3 for trophies. This was a reprint issue, so I was able to get this. And man, there's a lot of costume DLC. And just the season pass of costume DLC, we talked about in the episode, is over $60 for multiple seasons. Like, you're spending hundreds of dollars on DLC to have jiggle physics and different outfits happen.
Hell yeah.
That is a game, by the way, that has 3 different options for specifically breast jiggle physics. So they know their audience. Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't have any of that. Like I said, this game leaked and all that stuff before. There was a guy that actually leaked the entire State of Play lineup, and I was kind of upset because he was very lazy about his riddle for it. I think I sent it to you. Whatever.
Yeah,
it was very lame.
He just changed a couple words and then
It was basically like, here are all
clever.
the titles, and I'm going to throw some words in between them. Because for the thing about this game here, he wrote Sonic will have to face his shadow, or Sonic will have to...
That's so dumb.
Sonic will have to be in his shadow and face his generations, or something like that, where it's like...
You could have
just...
He could have even written like the opposite of Sonic. And that would even been a little bit more of a, what could that be for a half second longer? Right. You know what I mean? Like,
I think the guy just wanted to be unequivocally shown to be having known all the things that happened, so he didn't. Or maybe he's just not clever. Anyway, we did see there was like a minute-long trailer. There was a little bit of gameplay. I will say when they showed off they first showed off obviously the Sonic Generations part, then they showed the Shadow stuff off with a CG interstitial between the two to kind of like show, whoa, it's that thing. For the Sonic Generations stuff, I legit thought we were looking at the PlayStation 3 version. Granted, it was at a smooth frame rate. I assume it was 60. Maybe it was 30 thinking back. I don't know. But I literally thought like, oh, they're doing the thing where they're showing us before and then now here's the after. Very surprised that it just is that. It literally just looks like it's a 4K 60 port of the game. And then looking in, I follow a bunch of not a bunch, but I follow some Sonic the Hedgehog modders, people that have fixed some of these PC ports, and they see issues that are in the vanilla retail of Sonic Generations on Steam. Bugs that only exist on the PC version are in this version, so it was very clearly that code, and they're running it at 4K 60. It's like some colors aren't the same, some animations aren't the same. His boost bar, as it fills up, there's particles, and they're going in the wrong direction, like that type of thing. Little tiny bugs that people notice that have fixed them in mods, because I guess Sega never did. So to see that, and then to see, I want your opinion in a second here, but then to see the Shadow stuff, I'm kind of curious how much the Shadow content is. But regardless, what did you think about like the kind of whole trailer as a whole? The whole trailer as a whole. What did you think about the whole trailer as a whole?
I mean, like at first, kind of just impressions. Like if I haven't played Sonic Generations or anything like that, the way it's shown is like it's trying to present as if this is a new game, right? But then like since I have played it, it also presents to me like, is this just like you said DLC? Is this just like a repackaged, like just remaster, and we just decide to throw Shadow in it? And I'm still kind of confused because it has been a minute since I played this game. Is there Shadow levels? It looks like there is. How many levels are there?
Right.
Or is this just going to be, like Sonic Frontiers in the sense that you can change your skin of Sonic. He can wear a Santa hat if you want. You can play
Right,
as
right.
Shadow if you want. Or Sonic Superstars where, hey, you can play this level again as Amy if you want.
Oh, by the way, for Sonic Superstars, they're adding a Shadow skin for Sonic. So that might actually be, maybe that'll make the game more fun. I will say to answer your question here, this is how Sega describes the game. So this is on the official website, sonicxshadowgenerations.com. Shadow the Hedgehog is back and teaming up with classic and modern Sonic in Shadow X Sonic or Sonic X Shadow Generations, an all-new collection featuring 2 unique experiences. I read this as there's a splash screen and there's 2 options: Sonic Generations, Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh, well, not the game, not the
Right.
2005 game, but the Shadow stuff as its
Will
own
will it say
thing.
Shadow Generations or something?
Probably because looking at it,
Because what?
you're seeing the guy from his game, Shadow the Hedgehog, the floating eyeball thing, and you're seeing his last level in Sonic Adventure 2. You're seeing BioLizard is in there. He's the boss at the end of
Yeah,
Sonic
so he
Adventure
does.
2.
Yeah, I didn't recognize that stuff right away. I mean, the outside of the eyeball guy, but like, I wasn't sure if you're just redoing the levels and they just reskinned it. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the other
I
thing
guess that's
too. Sorry to cut you off. Sonic Generations, a 2011 PS3, Xbox 360 game, and 3DS game. The 3DS game was completely different, and it had different. Sonic Generations' whole conceit is here's 9 levels from Sonic's history. These are the most fan favorited ones. We've remade them in 2 different forms. The 3DS game did mostly different levels, including Shadow's main level from Sonic Adventure 2, that Radical Highway, which is the San Francisco at night type of
mhm.
thing. So like my thought looking at this is like, oh, are they even going to add in the 3DS stuff? Probably not, because like you're talking in a very low poly, standard definition game with low resolution textures. You know what I mean? Like looking at the work that they did for the Sonic Generations thing, like they clearly just want a quick cash grab. Um, but yeah, it looks like the Shadow stuff's all new stuff because I don't recognize that from Sonic Generations. Um,
Yeah, I'm reading over the PlayStation blog version or post about it. Yeah, it says Sonic's X Shadow Generations combines classic Sonic, modern Sonic, which was Sonic Generations, and then it says and Shadow gameplay, then comma alongside a collection of beloved 2D and 3D stages from Sonic games over the past 20 years.
hmm,
So
interesting.
like, yeah, I mean, I'm just curious if this is in terms of length. That's always my question about this stuff because like that determines to me if it's DLC or New Game Plus or whatever you want to call it. Because yeah, like New Game Plus is really no added content outside of hey, you keep your if you like in God of War's example, you keep your equipment right, and then you get maybe a new skin or
Yeah,
something, and then you can level up still more or whatever.
right.
Um, where like this to me is like, is this Sonic? I think Generations was what probably like 5 to 6 hours, maybe 7, 8.
Yeah.
In game length, if you're just playing it straight one time, you're not replaying levels. Like, are we getting that length, or is it going to be here's 4 to 5 Shadow levels that are fine? Then you can play the Sonic levels as Shadow if you want to. Um, but the way it's worded makes it seem like you said, Nate, there's a splash screen of between the two, which to me that would be cooler than just being like, here's Sonic Generations with 4 bonus levels that you can play as Shadow.
Honestly, I think
Um,
this reminds me of
in terms
Nintendo
of
did
a
this
quote
with
unquote
Mario.
full length like
Well,
Sonic
I have a main
Generations.
point on that. I'll get to in a second. But Nintendo did one of their many Wii U to Switch ports, Super Mario 3D World, a game I don't think is as good as a lot of people claim it is. They claim it's like top 3 Mario games. I think it's just all right. Anyway, they ported that to Switch, but they added in a new bonus short game called Bowser's Fury. That was kind of an experiment on new gameplay stuff, right? This reads that to me like that. This is a port of a game. I don't even think they call it. They don't even say remaster or enhancement at all in any of these press releases, right? They just say it's the game is there, right?
It says upgraded visuals on the PlayStation blog. Has the last sentence. The ultimate celebration of Sonic gaming looks better than ever before with upgraded visuals.
They probably just mean 4K because it looked the same to me. But hey, we didn't see much of it. So like I see this the same thing. Like, oh, here's a game and here's a bonus thing because. We know Sega, right? They did that Sonic Colors Ultimate port. Now, granted, that was like a decompilation and rebuilt in Godot in a completely new engine, and it was in HD and, blah, blah, blah. And like it had different shaders for the lighting on Sonic and whatnot. So like there was work to that. But still, it was pretty much just that Wii game. I don't even think they added anything. Oh, they added in like a new ghost power, but it was kind of redundant. Whatever. That was a full purchase game. I could see them easily just being like Sonic Generations in 4K 60 as a full purchase game. And because of that, I don't think the Shadow thing is that much content, because if it was, they would have just sold it as its own game. I feel like they would have split it into two games if the Shadow thing was substantial. Instead, I think they're thinking like, okay, Shadow was in Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, his own game, and 06. And I guess Forces as DLC. I didn't touch it. I wasn't going to touch it, so I don't know if it was... I think he just plays the same level Sonic plays. So he's got 4 games that he has, he's a playable character in, console games. Correct me if I'm wrong, and no, don't count the Mario and Sonic Olympic games, or any of that stuff.
Or the mobile games.
So, like, yeah, you just make 4 levels, maybe.
Yeah. Because how many levels was Sonic Generations?
9.
It was 9?
9.
And let's say you do... That makes sense, because like I think I
9
streamed
2
it a while
times.
back, and it was I probably played 6 to 7 hours. So yeah, if you only do 4 levels, let's say even 5, half of that, you're only talking about like maybe 2 hours at most of bonus content. But I guess the selling point is it's coming to PS5, right? Or in other modern consoles.
It's on
right?
everything. It's on this gen. It's on last gen. Even Xbox One, which I was shocked.
I did also find a quote from Takashi. What was this? Is that Lizuka or Ilzuka?
I think it's Azuka.
Azuka,
but I could be wrong.
Creative officer of Sonic Team, who said, "With Sonic Sonic X Shadow Generations, we wanted to bring
got a mathematician over here.
We wanted to bring Sonic Generations to PS5 and PS4 while pairing a brand new Shadow storyline to cross over with the original story." So yeah, it makes me think that like there's cuts in between if you play the Sonic Generations portion. Maybe if you replay Sonic Generations, the Shadow scenes still happen. You just keep playing as Sonic, like kind of like Sonic Adventure, right? Where you still have the same cutscenes, and then depending on what story mode you pick, you're getting that. So I could see that. But it's the Shadow gameplay. So at the very least, that they did add specific functions to Shadow, right? It isn't just going to be a reskin of Sonic.
But I don't think they really showed it. Like they just look like you're still running and hoping.
He looks like he's punching more, but like that's about it. But it's still the same kind of in terms of like a gameplay style, homing, attacking, or jumping and then punching someone pretty much is homing, attacking. It just the animation style is different, right?
Yeah. Unless you give him a gun.
By the way, I was going to say, where's his gun? I mean, we'll see. Also, one big disappointment for me though. You brought Shadow back, but you didn't think to bring Rouge the Bat.
She needs her own game.
What are we doing here?
Spent a whole episode.
Like I get Shadow's like a big favorite, but guess who else is a big favorite? Rouge the
Introduced in the same game. She is just as important as Shadow. Granted, actually, both of them are in Generations as like, yay, you saved us. Well, I mean, there is that boss fight against Shadow for a Chaos Emerald, but it's like contextless. Like, why was he there? Of course, it's been years since I played Generations. I will say this is my declaration. Sonic Generations on PlayStation 3 was my first ever platinum trophy. It's my first ever platinum trophy. By the time this game comes out in the fall, I will be close to
August. Comes out in August. So you have
They
a
said-
little bit.
They said autumn.
I totally misread it then.
So that's November, baby. That's November 29th or whatever. You know what that means.
Oh, coming autumn. You know what had happened was I
Yeah.
have you over the Discord thing overlaid the YouTube and it cut off Tum. It just says AU and I'm like August.
August. That's fair. That's fair. By the time this game comes out in autumn of this year, I will be pretty much at platinum 200. So I'm going to make Sonic Shadow Generations my 200 platinum. I will get it on both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I will do it. That's my decree.
Maybe I'll get it on PS5. Maybe when it's on sale.
I would definitely...
I know that we're the Sonic movie show, but sometimes we're fake ass Sonic fans, right? We're just not buying it day one. We're
I
not
haven't
sleeping
finished
at GameStop.
Superstars. Yeah.
Just kidding. I'll probably definitely. I'm interested in the Shadow stuff. I'm curious to learn more. I'm curious if we're going to get a Sonic Central.
There
soon.
seemed to be one every year, right? Without
We're
fail
due,
for the
right?
past 3 years. That would be in the spring. But yeah, it would be. They would definitely do a info dump on the game for sure.
Because the
Telling us.
Sonic movies, first one is anniversary's coming up, and we didn't talk about. I think the main reason this even exists, maybe not the main reason, but probably one of the big reasons, is that Shadow's going to be in Sonic Movie 3 that's coming out this Christmas. So
Yep.
This is autumn. They're going to push this, like you said, November, let's say, or maybe right before Black Friday. Be like, hey. And I'm sure we're gonna see a trailer at some point very, very soon. That's why I think there's got to be a Sonic Central to at least you could put this game in it. You can put if there's a trailer or some sort of teaser at least for the Knuckles TV show that I guess I'm assuming is still happening.
He's in that's the Paramount Plus Super Bowl ad.
Super Bowl ad
Where he
as
just
a
stands
quick
there.
little one-liner. Because we've done episodes on the Sonic Centrals of the past and how we're like, what is this? Feels very. There's not new stuff. It's always just like, hey, make sure to buy our DLC or make sure to buy our mobile games.
Yeah.
There's been no heavy hitters to be like, this is worth my time to watch. As even I would say a big Sonic fan, right? Obviously they do the merch for I guess the diehards of I will buy everything Sonic, but for someone who's just more of a casual fan, you're like, okay, I want to see Sonic movie, I want to see Sonic Frontiers or something like that.
They don't show much. They don't show much.
So it's for me, it's this is a good time to be like, let's actually do a good Sonic Central. You show this shouldn't be the main thing. This should just be filler. Honestly, if I'm being real, make this filler in between Sonic movie stuff and the Knuckles TV show. There's also rumors there's going to be a Shadow show as well. I haven't seen too much confirmation
or at least
on
a
that. But
spin-off. It might be a movie, it might be a show, but yeah.
Something to that effect. Maybe you announce that. Maybe you have Jeff Fowler on the thing. You know what I mean? Talking about that. I know we're kind of getting more into Sonic movie, but I'm going to tie it back with going back to saying this is definitely being pushed because they need Shadow something because
he's not playable in anything besides Sonic Forces DLC. The last game where he was a playable character in really was 06. It's wild, but
they're going to get a bump that even if it doesn't sell hot cakes, right at the beginning, once Christmas time comes and it might be after Christmas, but people might, or maybe parents might be like, hey, you can do a joint. See, this is the parent in me. I don't have kids, but this is what I would do.
I was going to say.
If my kid really likes Sonic, I'd be like, guess what? For Christmas, you got Sonic X Shadow Generations on PS5, and what's in the case? 2 tickets to the Sonic movie 3. We're seeing it today.
Mom
in the
stays
afternoon.
Home.
Yeah. So that's I could see something like that, right? Or people go see the movie, the kids go see the movie, and they're like, And then if they advertise this well enough to parents, who actually have the money to purchase these things, they can be like, cool, yeah, I'll get this for you. And then for people who are older like us, who are like, you know what? Yeah, the Sonic movie was good, hopefully. And we haven't played a Shadow game in a while. This is the closest I'm getting to it. Let me check it out.
Yeah. 100%. It's also just cool to see this. The screenshot I have up right now is Shadow grinding on a rail in the last level of Dark Stories, 2001 Sonic Adventure 2's last Shadow level. That's what I mean to say.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing like this getting, that kind of remake kind of vibe that Generations had done really does hit me, where it's like, man, I would like a remake of Sonic Adventure 2. Just, I don't care if the gameplay's
people
different.
People been wanting that. I think, I don't know if we talked about it before, maybe not on an episode, and sorry if we have, but like, there's got to be like a Sonic Adventure, either remaster or Adventure 3 in some capacity, like, sooner rather than later. They know, I mean, to think that companies aren't aware of, like, even like cult followings of things. They know that shit. They have people they hire who track this shit, who are in the forums or in the deep weeds of like, yeah, sure, maybe only 100 people give a fuck about Shadow the Hedgehog game, but they track that stuff to be like, there is people still talking about it. Or it might not happen. They might go to the board meeting and be like, yeah, like, I only see this many people really talking about it and they like it, but I don't know if it's worth for us to pursue, right? They definitely, I know Sonic Adventure is one of those, either the first one, second one, or just a third, whatever, to what capacity. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're, talking about it. But to be fair, Sonic Frontiers did really well. If I'm them, I'm probably just going to
I would rather them do Frontiers too, because that's an evolution of the gameplay. And whereas remember, it's the Sonic movie show's best favorite Sonic game is Frontiers.
Yeah.
And I know we got a lot of shit for that from the haters and the people that just aren't on our grind rail set. Get it? You guys get the joke? Get the joke? I'm a loser. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yes, and I think one of the things here, this is my plea to younger video game fans on the internet, because I was once. Obviously, we were all once like that, and then everyone grows, It
was 30 years ago, Ethan.
I was once, 13 on the internet a lot, looking up my favorite things like Kingdom Hearts and Zelda and Sonic and Metroid, etc., right? And it's very easy to get into this mindset of the thing that you see online, a part of a community and a part of a fandom, that you say is, like, everyone, And I think we want Generations back is that I don't know if it's as big as you think. In my heart of hearts, I want it. So, like, it's big to me, but, like, how many people are saying it? Sonic is one of those franchises where most of the younger players, unfortunately, don't have nice, easy, legal ways of playing the old games. Of course, we get a whole bunch of, Genesis collections and whatnot. It makes those easy, but, like, this Adventure generation, if you're not playing on Steam, if you're a Nintendo kid, you have a Switch, like, you're not playing any of those. A lot of them just end up watching YouTube videos of all of the games, and that's how they know all about the game as much as I do. I played it when I was 6. They watched on YouTube when they were 6, and it's equal. It's honestly equal in terms of, how much my type of people and them types of people, weird way of saying that, enjoy that game. So, like, right. I could be wrong, and it could be a lot of kids that have never played it, but they've seen a lot of Let's Plays, and they really like it, and they want it anyway, and that's valid in my opinion. It's the same way with a lot of video game franchises where they're like, oh my god, I want a new Paper Mario just like the old ones. And it's like, those old ones are twice as old as you. When did you play this? Okay, you watched someone. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You know what I mean? If you get it, then you
accessibility
get it.
Is always a thing. And to be fair, like, even like you said, like, there's the Genesis, like, 200 game packs or whatever the fuck that you can buy.
The number of times they've made Sonic 1 available is...
Yeah. like some people too who are even would maybe see that and younger people and be like, well, I don't want to play old stuff. There's also the other side of that where like I don't want to play old stuff. I don't want a Sonic Adventure remaster. I want something like Sonic Frontiers. I'm kind of in that boat at this point. Like, hey, the past is the past. Let's make something different. And Sonic Frontiers, yeah, was the best playable. Like, just felt the most complete in a long time for a Sonic game outside of the originals. But the originals
like
now feel, but the originals also have the context of being dated, and they get that excuse. You know what I mean? Like I've said on this show when we reviewed the first Sonic game, it's like, hey, this is good for the time. Like it's solid now, but like it isn't something I want to play. It isn't as fun because it's too challenging. Or, luckily we have infinite lives, so I can jump into any level. You know what I mean?
Right.
You didn't have that back then. But yeah, people are watching it on YouTube. Or they just don't want old stuff too. There's also that group of people. And like I said, these marketing people and whatnot, they look at that stuff. But sometimes they also do make decisions based off what they want at the end of the day, or what the stock market or whatever
that's another
the
big
finances are. Like, they might have saw this and be like, we need something Shadow, anything. We don't give a fuck what it is. We just need to sell X number of copies to help with the movie.
Yeah.
We're not looking to make this, like, whether you like that or not, that's just how it works sometimes too. That's why you've seen, shitty remasters of old games, because they're just hoping the nostalgia kicks in. You're like, fuck, I will buy Destroy All Humans for PS4, even though it's fine. Like, it's a fun thing. I joke about Dino Crisis, and of course we need a new Dino Crisis.
Of course, Regina must.
But yeah,
again.
If there's a Dino Crisis remaster, like let's say even on PS5, like not like a remake, a remaster, like it's not gonna sell much. Like even the diehard fans might still not get it. You know what I mean? But that's why I think Capcom is remaking the Resident Evil games, because they know not everyone's gonna play Resident Evil 4 if they just remastered it, because they're like, no, we need to say it's new for the people who haven't played the game.
Yeah.
So hope that all made sense. But I feel like that's what this is for me. It's just like, this is new for the people who haven't played it, and then it's bonus features for folks like us who have played it how many years ago. And that's, I think, the best compromise that you probably can get for something like this. Yeah. Outside of, here's a Shadow game, or here's a new Sonic game.
Couple more points.
All the stuff is already there, so let's just, repackage. Not repackage, I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean? Just...
No, yeah, I get it. And like we said, they need a Shadow thing for the movie. I was actually surprised that it wasn't Unleashed first, because that's not on Steam at all. They're like, so like you're gonna play that on.
They might be working on that now.
But
you know
again,
what I mean? Like that might be in 2 years, because maybe
there's a Sonic game every year,
and they base it off that or something.
Yeah, there's a Sonic game every year. This being this year's Sonic game that they're gonna push out in the fall. So absolutely. 2 points. Just going about like the younger crowd that experiences a lot of Sonic stuff through watching YouTube. There's a fair, we gotta take a step back, understand the scope of the kind of fandom here. There's a lot of people whose experience with Sonic isn't the games. It's the cartoons, it's the comics, and now the movies. I know people that like haven't played any Sonic games, but they read those comics. They watch Sonic Prime. I think this season 3 just ended or something. There's
always somebody like that. For sure.
Hey, every time there's a new this is a remaster and it's got Shadow stuff in it. It's very specific every time, but you know what I mean. Every time they're like, here's a kind of we're bringing this back. Oh, I heard this one was really good, and I might get it. So, like, people that don't actually play any of the Sonic games might actually get one. Also, too, we were talking about, like, would they ever do a, Sonic Adventure, anything type, whatever, and, like, what the fans want. But, like, we also need to remember, too, the people making the damn games get a say in what they make as well. Obviously, Corporation Sega says this, whatever, but, like,
Or they lay people off.
Well, yeah,
which
but
has
there are
happened,
people
recent,
like
as of yet this week.
this is a very Japanese thing, but like there is a guy who is in charge of Sonic, the Sonic brand at Sega. It's Izuka that you just mentioned, right? What he thinks the future of a new Sonic game is whatever he wants it to be. You know what I mean? Like if he really thinks about something and his team is really jazzed about an idea, Sonic Team itself, and like Frontiers, like let me put it this way. On paper, probably sure, a lot of people would probably want Frontiers on paper. But let's say like after that very first IGN video leak, because there was a lot of people like, what the hell is this? Why'd you do this? There's a lot of people that are like, why did you make this type of game when you had something else that was good going and you could have just made more Generations style, modern Sonic gameplay, even though Generations is so old, it's almost the halfway point in the series.
Some of this stuff is in Sonic Frontiers though, in the Cyberscape levels though.
Right.
To me,
well,
that'd
that
be
is
my
to be a little
argument
fair.
against
but
it.
Like we didn't know that at the time, but there's a lot of people who are
Right.
like, why are you doing this? Like the fans really wanted not the future of Sonic as Sonic Team saw it. And Sonic Frontiers comes out and now people won't fans won't shut up about how cool like the heavy metal music that plays in the boss fights is, and
Yeah.
then all the awesome music in Sonic Frontiers in general and those boss fights. And I've seen people like make fan cam like mashups of the first boss fight and like Cuphead and shit like that because like they love it, but they didn't want to love it at the time because it's not what they wanted. So that's the other thing too, is my plea to younger fans. I was there, and you're here now. I've looked at several, my franchises that I've enjoyed, video game franchises, change, and I've never wanted them until they came out. And I'm like, I'm an idiot, and this is good. And when change happens, in a long-time franchise, when change happens, you will become less bored with the franchise overall. There's been franchises where I'm like, damn, this is just more of the same and I'm bored. And then a new one comes out and it's completely different. I'm like, wow, Zelda's now a good game again, type of thing. So
yeah, I mean, I think we've said on this show too, with like when we did see the original stuff from Sonic Frontiers, we were skeptical because of Sega's unfortunate Sonic Team in particular's history of being like every time they feel like they do one solid game, they either try too hard on one direction of it, or like Sonic Forces sucked ass. At least we thought it sucked ass. We thought it was much more made for like kids, and there's a lot of people like us who are like, no, like we want these things from a Sonic game. And so when we saw that they were doing something different, at the very least we were like, listen, this could be bad, but we'll give them credit for trying something dramatically new at the time. When we saw that stuff, we're like, fuck, it's open world. That's crazy. Like open world of what we saw.
Right.
We're like, that's crazy. Granted, to be fair, when we did an episode of what we want from a new Sonic game, we did talk about something similar to that.
Yeah.
And we like to joke that they listened to us and we're like, oh, that's great. But no, like, at the end of the day, like, I agree. Like, and you don't have to like it either. Like, it could suck. But like, to me, I always go back to, I'd rather have people try things because maybe they try it, doesn't work, but then they can work off of the things that did succeed in that and then go into keep that direction. A good example, like I'm a big God of War fan. And when that first trailer dropped of the new God of War at, was it E3 or Game Awards in 2018? At E3, because I think Cory Barlog had the controller.
2016, but yeah.
2016, he had the trailer, and like no one knew what it was until Kratos showed on screen, and it was like a big deal. And at the time, I was like, man, this looks like too grounded or like too cinematic. Like, I don't know. Like, Kratos is an action game, like
camera angle. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watched him like, okay, it's different. I don't know. Is this? And then like I had more questions. I was worried about like, are they getting rid of the story? Because I liked these elements of the story, or like this canon, I guess. I was worried that it was going to be getting rid of all that, and then surprisingly actually ties in still. So, but yeah, I think sometimes you got to accept it. And it wound up being Game of the Year. And then it was up for Game of the Year again with the second one. You know what I mean? So like, and we would joke on this show is if Sonic somehow is ever nominated for Game of the Year, we're peak. We're not peak, but like we're peak hype in the sense of we're in. We've said it. We feel like we're at the start of a Sonic renaissance, and it started really with the movie. But to have the movie, bounce up with Sonic Frontiers being very good and being reviewed pretty well, I feel like we're at the start of something, if not already happening. They just need to keep building off of that, and that's why I'm feeling like we got to start. Maybe in the couple of years ago, you maybe look at this and be like, okay, cool, but like, no, I have higher expectations now. Even if this is just a report or whatever you want to call it, repackage, however you want to look at it. It's like, no, I want that Shadow shit to be good because yeah, I don't want a Sonic Colors. They got away with that one, but like, you want them to put out good shit, and if you are remastering the old stuff, but at the same time, yeah, we need more Sonic Frontiers. And who knows, maybe they do something dramatically different again. I kind of hope not, but if they do it, I also be like, okay, go for it. I'm not going to blame you, you know?
Yep. Yeah, at the very least, what this Sonic X Shadow Generations is a 4K 60 on PS5 and Xbox Series X port of Sonic Generations with a 4-level interspliced with a couple boss fight shadow thing as well that might be not super long levels as compared to the modern Sonic in Generations, and it might just feel like you got 4 extra levels in Generations. At the very least, that's what it is. At the most, you could be seeing new gameplay ideas in the Shadow thing, maybe new story things, maybe a teaser at a new Shadow game. Like,
it'd be fun if it ties into maybe the movies in some capacity. It's supposed to be Generations and almost like multiverse a little bit. Maybe you could hint at it or maybe make reference to it. Or if they're doing Generations, Sonic Generations was supposed to be all the favorite levels, you got to throw in a Shadow the game level in there, right? You got to, even if it's not a gun, make it like a cartoony, like make it a Fortnite gun. You know what I mean? Something to that effect where it's a laser beam or something. So it's not as, it's not a fucking Glock or a Deagle or whatever. You know what I mean? It's a a laser gun from, I don't know, some futuristic thing that makes it so they don't get that
the G.I. Joe effect. I mean? They're all using, and the Batman TV show effect where it's like, they're using laser guns because that's somehow less violent looking than a real gun. I mean, there's not much more to say. I'm expecting $60. This is on last gen and current gen, so we're looking at PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, Nintendo Switch, Steam, and the Epic Game Store, all on one thing. And like, more than any other Sonic thing, the timing on this being autumn, the movie being the Christmas-ish era, Christmas time, actually means that this is somewhat of a movie tie-in, like actually timed to be like that. So like, it is going to be on every platform because of that reason alone, just to get raw sales. Where like,
and like I said, I hope
we look at Frontiers. Did that need to be on Switch? It kind of seemed to suffer because of it.
I hope the reviews come out and they're good. For me, it's like I'll get it closer to day one or maybe that month or maybe after the movie if like I hear decent, good reviews about it. To me, I'm just really curious of like how much content we're getting out of Shadow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, because I have played this game and I get what the hype is there because it's all the quote unquote fun best levels of the old games. But it's also for me, I'm like, I'm okay playing a game once and and moving on. Even my favorite games to a degree. So it's like I need to see something like very substantial outside of what could just be a couple levels. Like I want to be like, is this another basically full length thing? Is what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
I will play it eventually, probably, but like it's to me whether or not I'm getting it, pre-ordering it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is different.
Right. Well, folks, let us know in the comments below on this YouTube video that I'm sure you are watching right now and not listening to on podcast services, which we also are on. Let us know in the comments below what you think the Shadow portion of Sonic Shadow Generations is going to be. It could be anything, and we want to see other people's opinions, just in case we missed something. Hey, while you're there, like and subscribe, blah, 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 whatever. You can follow the show on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and
I try to post on there. When I remember.
Tubi? No, not Tubi. We're on a fifth thing, right?
It'd be cool if we were on a streaming service.
YouTube.
We're on Netflix. We have a deal with
at
Peacock
Sonic Movie
now.
Show up there. At Sonic Movie Show. I'm on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely, and Devin is on Twitter at CursonaFun. Man, this is going to be interesting. I think maybe next week we might be talking more Sonic games. Maybe not. It all depends.
We also need to do our Sonic movie rewatch too.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah.
So that's somewhere in the docket.
Yeah.
For our big episode 200.
That's right. That's right. Our last episode. No, I'm not even going to pretend that's a joke. Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, let us know in the comments below, and we will see you in the Generations. Also, real quick, they retconned Generations. That's supposed to be Sonic's past and present, and Forces said it was a different dimension. Classic Sonic's a different dimension. So maybe they will have the fucking movie in there. Whatever. See ya.